Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our a live stream for Ryan Lady Games, where we talk about Unreal Engine and give you support with your Unreal Engine game projects. Basically, it's question time. You ask any questions you want, I put them into chat, and we answer them as best we can within the hour that we are live. Let me just stop music. I will first of all apologize if we have to end things early. I suddenly, in the past hour, I felt very nauseous. So if I have to run to the toilet to throw up, I apologize ahead of time. But I just sat down and I was like, whoa, this is going to be tricky. But I thought we best give it a shot and see if we can help you guys out. New lighting setup for those who haven't seen it. I finally got a dimmer for the big R, so I can take it down so you can have it lit up and not blind everything. Oh dear. So most of my burping, I don't know. It might be just wind. I ain't got a clue. So thanks. It's literally in the last hour, just like putting the kids to bed. I was like, you know, you really feel it in your stomach. You're like, oh, something ain't sitting right, and you feel like something's either to come up or come out one way or another. But enough of that. Let's jump into Unreal and start answering some questions. See, the chat is filled up with questions. That's great. Yeah, just put your questions in the chat. If I do miss it, don't worry, just put it back in the chat again and we'll catch it next time round. Okay, here we go. So I think I saw some conversation going on about top-down stuff. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so Turtle Tank has been asking about combat from a top-down perspective, like a real-time combat going in there. Yeah, sure. So ideally, I would have opened up the top-down example to save a few steps. It just works exactly the same as a third-person combat thing. So you're just doing enemy notifiers, sending out, or um, other timing-based things to send out a sphere trace. Usually, if it's top-down, you don't usually have something that's super accurate. You're trying to do like wide conal attacks almost. So you try to do that in this shape here. So obviously I haven't got a top-down character, and I'm not going to go through the whole process of making one. Hopefully you've got a starting point for that. But let's say I have an attack going on a debug key for do one. Our attack function would have on it a play montage. I don't have any montages in here. Let me see if I can bring one in. One sec. Well, sword, ideally, don't I? No, that'll do. We'll just do this one. Okay. I can show you how to do a cone if you want. Iron. It's not predefined. You have to sort of do it yourself, but I can show you how to do a cone. Okay, so yeah, we've got an attack animation now. So we'll go into here, attack, and we'll just do a basic one. Okay, something like this. So you'd have something set up as a montage. Let me retarget this first of all. What skeleton is this using? The UE4 skeleton. Okay, so we need to convert it over. So let's just retarget and combo attack. That one. And we'll target the money. Yeah. Very nice. Yeah, export that. I'll just throw it into the root folder there. Okay. And we go ahead and create a montage for this. And we'll take it to play montage. I just realized I'm in the first person character. Ah, crap. Okay, we're not going to, I'm not going to go through the whole process then. But you have an anim notifier doing, I'll tell you what, actually, let's bring in the third person project. And I'm going to copy what I've done here. And put that on here. Put that back in. Okay, so you're doing an attack, and then you normally, like, a good thing to do, you don't normally do it, but a good thing to do is to create an anim notifier to handle damage. I like doing it like this. You can compartmentalize it and then reuse it, especially if you make it really flexible. And in here, you create receive notify. And you do a sphere trace wherever it may go. So sphere trace by channel. The start point for this would be the mesh components owner. So you get the owner. And you want to get their location. And in a typical like well, not typical. In some instances, you want to use control rotation, but in this case, because you're doing top down, you want to get the actor's rotation. So you get the owner here, get their forward vector. That's me. And then multiply it by a range that you want to have. So a good thing to do is to promote that to a variable. Oh, not local. Oh, for God's sake, it's all going wrong. Yeah. That's me. It's all going wrong. Yeah, change that off there. Put that there. Add these two together. Okay, and we'll also have radius set to a variable as well. And you deal damage on whatever this hits. Okay, so you break that open and apply damage to it. Okay. And then all you do is on the montage, you place this wherever you want it to deal damage. So, I mean, I'm skipping a few steps, but like, yeah, that's basically it. I've done it a few times in other videos, so worth checking out if you can. I'll do a duration there. And then on the montage, you'd add it to your notify track. Oh, there you go, and notify damage. You put that at the point where you want it to deal damage. Okay, and with it selected, you can change the properties on it. So if you make these variables here editable, over here I can select it and I can set what I want it to be. So the range of this I'll set to 500, radius I'll set to 30, base damage I'll set to 30, whatever. But you see it's going to do this sort of thing out there. Okay. Now in this preview it will look like this, but it won't. It will come out of the characters like waste, because it's trying to reference the owner of this, and it doesn't have an owner in this preview window. So yeah. Okay. And that's it really. Okay. But it works exactly the same as the third person, really. Iron Keep. You've come across a lot of time. You should never use casting. How true do you think that is? It's absolute bollocks. To be frank. Everything has a usage. Everything has a con. Everything has a pro. So, with casting, the thing that people don't like about casting is that when you put a cast in somewhere, it loads up in memory the actor that you are running and also the actor that's being referenced in the cast. So you like one actor, but it's actually cost of two actors. Okay, that's the big expense that comes with it. The thing is though, if you're casting something that already is loaded up and you can kind of guarantee that it's always loaded up, things like the game instance, the game mode, controller, things like that, there's barely anything going on there. Okay, all you need it for instances where you want to change the reference point you've got. You want to transform it into its child version. But it is absolute a myth. People say it without understanding what hell casting is actually going. You use casting all the time in C++. It's a common thing you do. You do it, but you still want to, like, once you've got it transformed, you then store it as a reference, usually, because you don't want to do it again. You can might as well keep it. So yeah, absolute junk. Let me go up here. Um, do you create your own GDD? Yes, I do. I can show you one if you want. Okay. is Mimic's game design document. It's always working in progress because you're constantly going back to it, adding things to it as you decide certain things. This needs to be updated from things I've changed recently. But yeah, I do. I find it as a cathartic way to stop and think about your game more so than anything, as it lets me just process and understand what my game is trying to be and what it's trying to do. It helps me keep organized. And if you are submitting your game to a console or a publisher, you need to have a GDD. They want to see a GDD. Just a good way to keep organized. Yeah, maybe we'll do something like a few classes on it. Maybe writing a GDD. Hi Ryan, is there a way to delay a for loop? So if your for loop is executing inside of a function, no. If you are doing a for loop here in like an event, technically you can. It's not great. Try to avoid delays if you can. Delays are like problematic for various reasons. The biggest issue that you have with delays is that it is based on the frame rate of the game. So if you are doing timing-based things on a delay, the problem with that is faster running computers will get past the delay faster. Okay, it's not a second-based thing. So it can be a bit meh. Okay, it is affected by that. Okay. So try to use timers if you can, or rethink how you're designing what you're trying to do with the for loop. I can't imagine the reason why you'd want to do it in a for loop, but I could be wrong. Yeah. Trevelyan over on Twitch is asking, what are the biggest differences between C++ and visual scripting? Well, besides the obvious things, like obviously it's coding and visual scripting. So visual scripting cuts out a lot of work. So the most basic example is you don't have to write header files to run your class. Okay, the class actor has already been compiled. You doesn't have to do that. If you don't know what a header file is, it basically defines the class. So that is generated for you. Basically, everything you see over here on the left is the header file. Okay, and you can actually preview it actually as well if you you can open up individual ones. How do you do it on here? Hold on, there's a way to do it. I've forgotten where it is now. Yeah. So you choose your blueprint class. So I'll choose the third person character. And there's the header class for it. Okay. So this is defining the functions that are going on in it, and any variables you may have on it too. So in here we've got the function of move and aim. I haven't as it compiled with the changes I've made. So, but you got move going on there, and where? No, I've chosen the wrong one. What have I chosen here? I know. I can't. I don't know why it's not showing the most recent stuff in it, but yeah. So you generate. You have to have this, and you have the code. You don't have to worry about that in visual scripting. In terms of actual functionality with C++, you can access everything, and do anything you like. Okay, so you can change even how the renderer works if you want. So you can change all sorts of things. It isn't. There's not much you can't do in visual scripting. One of the biggest things, you can't make your own singletons. Singletons are like subsystems. Okay, so these little things, I can get like the game viewport subsystem, and I can do stuff with that. That's a singleton that's running. You can't make those in visual scripting. You have to make them in C++ if you wanted to. Same with any statics. You can't make statics. They have to be referenced somewhere else, maybe. Yeah, I mean, there are workarounds for all of those. You don't have to use it. Yeah. Sinclair, TTV, is there a way to re-trigger on rep notifier type of function without needing to set the variable again? Trying to replicate my player skins for late joiners. It shouldn't need to. So the way rep notifier works is when a new player joins in late, the server will tell them to update all their stuff and it will trigger them. So you don't have to call it again. It will trigger as they join the session. So yeah. So if I do miss any questions, I'm trying to catch them as they go by, and you guys are answering them as well. That's great. Are you a fan of jet fighter games? I don't think so. No, not be. I can't say I'm not a hater or a lover of it. Oh, there you go. So Ripper is talking about me as well. There you go. same thing. Panda. Okay, that's Pandalay. Common UI pass activable stack references to all widgets that are pushed and or generated through LMC default loop to push pop up. Binders already set on X. You want to replace. I'm not too sure. Binders reset on X. You want to replace. So it's saying it already has a binding on it. I haven't used Common UI for yonks. I need to go load it back up again and have a look. I'm not entirely certain. I imagine it's just got a binding on it, like a normal widget can do. It might be pre-built into it though. I don't know. Like, what is it? Anything? Pass active reference. Not entirely certain. I'd say I need to go back into Common UI and have a look. It's been years since I looked at it. Kishan, I don't know where to begin with facial animation for the character. How do I try and make facial animation in sequencer? Don't do it manually. It's nightmarish. You use a camera to help you do this. Now, if you've got iOS or like an iPad or iPhone, sorry, gassy. There's an app you can use to help you record facial capture, and you can actually live link it to Unreal and see it recording. And you can use a take recorder to record it to a sequencer. So there's a thing up here. Losing it. Am I going mad? It was there. Maybe I have to turn it. Maybe it's oh wait, cinematics. Oh, yeah, you go, cinematics, take recorder. So the take recorder is a sequencer. You add your thing to sequencer. You'll see it live updating the sequencer when you put it, like, link it to whatever mesh you want to link it to, and you just hit the record. You add it as a source and hit record, and it'll record it as an animation, and you just play the animation. Okay. I create for each button in IMC through a loop my keybind. I can't pass references without get all widgets from class. Yeah. Yeah. Let me close this. I mean, that would be the only thing. I say I have to bring up Common UI again. Obviously, can't do it right now. But it inspires me to go back into Common UI and see if we can do something about it. For sure. Mimic testing. Yeah, we'll be doing mimic testing soon. So I want to do a focus group mimic test to get some feedback and some ideas on the design of, especially the agent character, the agent role, just to spice them up a little bit. So, yeah, we're figuring that out. So it will be coming soon. It's just finding a time in my busy schedule to plop it in. That's the trick. Yeah, it can be pretty hard. Oh my god. Trevelyan, matter of fact, can you change the perception Z? My AIs can't see beyond the cover. So I mean, how big are your characters then? You shouldn't be able to. Yeah, we'll be doing some shop sim on soon. I made some cute stuff with that. We may give you a little preview of that in a minute. So yeah, why is your AI doing that then? Regular size. You shouldn't have an issue with that. So I'll just put an enemy there. Give him AI perception just to test it out because I'm pretty certain it does work normally. Senses sight. It works like a radius, like up and down. But you'll see when you put on a character. Yeah. When you do it from a character, you'll see where it comes from. It comes from their head. Hold on, it's freaking out. While that's freaking out, what do you use to track metrics of your game? I personally use game analytics. It's pretty interesting thing to use. It's pretty simple. But yeah, game analytics. And also you use stats as well for tracking things like achievements and things like that in the platform of your choice. Yeah, so if I turn on perception here. Okay, so you see where it comes from the head, not the waist. So that's because characters have an eye line. So that's why I was thinking like maybe your character is too tall. I don't know. But I test the theory out. If by the line, you see that green line that's gone down to that green line that's gone down to the sphere, it's kind of stopped that there. So, but it goes by the eye line of the character. So that's why I said if you've got a really tall character, you can see that. But if you ever want to change the eye line, FYI, you'll see you can get the actor's viewpoint, and you'll go set the actor's viewpoint somewhere. Maybe not eye. There you go. Set base eye height. There you go. Automatically, it does scale that, but yeah, figure that out. But I don't see why it wouldn't. Any issues there? Oh, you lost me, did we? Oh no. Hopefully that'll be okay. Da, 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 da. No, the waist, they can't see each other. I mean, when you are you actually crouching behind it and it's actually low enough? Because keep in mind, like when you crouch, the capsule half height changes. So you got like a crouch size in here. When you do that, that's changing the size of this. Okay, so it changes to 40. So it has to be at least 40 high. But yeah. Does UE5 a native way to allow controller support for UI navigation? Yes, it does. It's just not very good. Essentially, with controller support with UI navigation, you have to be super organized and plan it very well. Because it can do it automatically for you, but the way it works is a bit odd. So if I make a blueprint here widget, and we'll put an overlay in there, and I'll put a vertical box in here, and in here we'll put buttons. Okay, so there's my buttons in my vertical box. Make it a bit bigger so you can see it a bit better. Okay, and I'll also add some padding around these guys. There you go. So the way UI navigation works with controller support is it works on focus. So when this when focus goes inside of the vertical box, okay, you take when you go. Sorry, no, we back up. So you start things off by telling it which widget to focus on, which is what commonly happens when you set the input mode to UI only or gaming UI. You take which widget you want it to start focusing on, and it'll get focus. That's usually a button, so most of the time. And so we put on this button, for example, here. Now, if I use my stick on my controller, it will go up and down this list, because the way vertical boxes work is it knows that if you want to go down, it just picks the next available focusable object in that list. Okay. Now, if it reaches the end of it and you push down again, what it's going to do is it's going to break out of the vertical box and then look for another one in that sort of general direction. Okay, it doesn't have to be directly underneath. It could be bits to the side or whatever. But generally, in that direction, is there another focusable object in there? And it will focus onto that. So you do have to be a bit more organized about this. And you can, if you want, specify what you want it to do. So let's say it's in this vertical box, focus on this button. I never want it to leave this box. I can click on my last button in here, go down to navigation section down here, and say when I push down again on this one, rather than escape, which is the default, I want it to stop. Okay, it will stop going around the edges. If I tell it to wrap, it will wrap back to the top of the current box it's in. So in this case, a vertical box. So it'll go back to the top of it and tackle the first child in it. Okay, so that is what that is doing. And if you want to, you can be explicit with it. So you can say, when I push down on this button, go to a specific widget. So you can specify it one by one if you wanted to there too. Okay. So it does have it built in kind of already, but you can it can be easily messed up. Okay. But yeah, try to see like that. Yeah, you can detect keyboard and gamepad a lot easier. That's not too difficult. You can do it inside without using Command UI if you wanted to. Like I did it from Mimic. Mimic does it automatically. Depending on what controller you're using as well, it changes based upon what controller. Like if you use a PS5 controller versus an Xbox, right? One, you can do stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. Trevelyan. Sorry. We got a bit disconnected there. I don't understand why it wouldn't work. Like it should work, but it determines whether or not you can see any of the capsule of the character. So make sure if you haven't changed any of the basic settings, this is higher than 40, because that's the general cap size there. So actually, I could do a quick example of this. If I do debug C key, and we'll go crouch and uncrouch. And we'll do a thing is crouching. If we are crouching, I want to uncrouch, and if we're not crouching, I want to crouch. So we can sort of kind of test this out. Okay, so there we go. And so you can see me above the cover. Hit C. No, crouch not working. 1 second. Oh, I didn't enable it, that's why. I always forget it's not enabled by default. Turn on can crouch. Yeah, there you go, crouch. So go into there. See, now you can't see me. I'm technically crouched. I'll step back up. You can't see me. Put back up again. Yeah. Now you can see me. So it's working just fine for me. Just make sure the cover is higher than the crouch half height. If the crouch half height is 40, make sure it's more than 40. Okay. How can you detect PS5 or other controller through UE without a GDK or SDK and try using Steam Input API to get the type, but it failed? Yep, so it is built-in feature. I always forget what the hell it is, though. Let me go back to here. I'm going to change it from C here. We'll make C do it. Let me try and figure out what the hell it was called. Because I always forget. Ooh. It's input device subsystem. And you get a not that one, is it? No, not that. No. Oh God. There is a node. It does give you input hardware identifier. It might be this one. I think it's this one. Get most recently used input device there. Subsystem user ID. I don't think you need to do that. Maybe wrong. I could be well wrong here, but it's something like this. If I do that, yeah, KBM. So that is returning keyboard and mouse like that. And if I had an Xbox controller, 1 second. Let me get a cable to plug it in. 1 sec. Okay, so obviously now C is not going to work because I'm not using C. Let me just put that on. Let me put this on a on one of the movement things up here. Yunk. There. So moving around the keyboard and mouse, you get KBM. I'm on an Xbox controller, and it returns X input controller. Okay. And you can use that to switch between various things. Getting back to keyboard and mouse, KBM. And the PlayStation, I can't remember what it returns. There's a list of them somewhere. Hardware device identifier. Let me have a look if I find it. Hang on, let me see if I can plug in a PS5 controller. I don't know if that'll work, but we'll try our best. This is going to freak out now on the input device connection. No? Cool. Right. Okay, let me plug in the PS5 controller. I've never actually used my PS5 controller on a PC, so I don't know if this will work. Yeah, no, it don't work. I need to install drivers and things. Yeah. I can't. What the hell does it return? It does return something more unique. Um. Uh, can't find it. Can't find it. No, I don't know. I can't remember what it is. I don't think it's just P input interface, like rather than X. It may well be. I honestly can't remember. Did it mimic like 2 years ago? I'm trying to find the original reference I had for it. No, I don't know. I have to find it. Windows DualShock and DualSense is what I found. It doesn't ring any bells, but it could well be. I honestly cannot remember. But essentially, what I did in Mimic, and this is why I don't remember it, because I said it once like this, right? And I made a common function that I can use to switch between them, or macro I made, to help switch between which console we're on. And so as soon as I touch the controller, all the icons will change immediately to whatever controller we're using. Yeah. Let me look up, see what else we've got going on here. Yeah, and that modal layers and things like that's how Common UI handles it. Can you do an enemy that attacks and then teleports, basically avoiding the player? I mean, if you want to put an enemy behind the player, it's as simple as getting their forward movement input and then their forward vector and inverting it. So if you want to get a position behind a character at all points, so for example, let's make me draw something behind here. Draw debug sphere. I can get the actor location, get the forward vector of the actor, and then multiply that by a negative value to get it behind. So we'll convert it to float and put in like negative 200, whatever it may be. And we can add these two together. And that gives us the location behind the player. So once you do the attack, you do something like this to set a location, to act a location to that point. That's it. Yeah. So as I run around now, you should see that sphere just following behind. Yeah. So that's how you get your location behind a player. It's not too difficult to do. Put that back up here. Oh. There's an answer there pointing. Oh, with the inputs. Yeah. I'll recap what the inputs thing's doing. I'll delete it. Oh, hang on, undo. So yeah, you have this input device subsystem, which is pretty useful for getting anything related about what the player's using. If you're ever interested in what's in there, though, you can just type in input, and you can see the kind of things that are associated to it on input devices. So you can see all these things in here, and this is how you can do things like adding devices as well, and removing them, and detect when there's been changes in them, all this stuff. Yeah, pretty cool. So you do that, you get the most recent device being used. Yeah, you can use whatever type you want, and then you get the device hardware identifier, and that returns KBM for keyboard and mouse, X input controller, whatever it was for Xbox, and then whatever it is for PlayStation. It might be DualSense P. I can't remember. But yeah. I haven't seen a new Nike example pack. No. Maybe we have to check that out. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Actually, a hard time with software cursors at the moment, swapping them out for mining nodes and chopping trees. Now to get the cursor hit result though. Okay, so yeah, you want to do a custom cursor. You got a few things you could do. So first of all, you need to make a widget for your custom cursor. So we go in here and do cursor, and I'll just make it something simple like that. There you go. And you assign your custom cursor up in the project settings. Yeah. Okay, but what's really interesting about the cursors is when you add a new one to it. So you've got default, which is the one that's being used all the time, but you can also use these if you wanted to help switch it between them. So you can do that. And then you just change what the cursor would be based upon what you want to use, one of these default ones here. I'll show you that in a second. But you pick the thing and then you choose what widget you want to use. I'll use the cursor. I'll just tell it to show in here. Get player controller. Set show mouse cursor. I'll just do that for now. So now we've got that widget you see going around there. Now with the widget, you need to detect what you're hovering over first and foremost. So you can do that with the controller. I didn't change it. Just again, shortcut. Set enable click events and set enable mouse over events like so. Okay, and there is a way where you can change what how something responds to the cursor. I cannot remember where exactly it was, so bear with me. Nope. Let me just see if I can figure out where this was. So set cursor. There it is. Okay, so set cursor on a particular widget to whatever you're hovering over. In terms of an actual actor that you're responding to, you could do that with the actual cursor widget here. So let's say on the tick, we get the player controller. We get the hit result under cursor by channel. And we break that open. Okay. And what I'll do is I'll say we'll change the color of it. So make it variable. Change the color of it if it's a pawn only. Okay. So we'll do hit actor is a pawn. And then we'll take the ball down, take it to set the color, set brush color based upon that. Obviously, you can change the image. You can do whatever you like with it. So if it is a pawn, we'll make it reddish. Otherwise, we'll keep it white. Okay. The yeah, and then the character I need to make sure, because visibility won't get blocked by the character, so I need to change that to camera probably. Like that. But yeah, now you can see if I hover over the character, it turns red. If I hover off the character, it turns white. Okay. So you can do various things like that and make it change the image or change the size of it, change its animation, whatever you want, all via the actual cursor widget. It is still running, so you can, yeah. Okay. But if you want to change the cursor using one of the default things, yeah, you need that only works on widgets. In world, you can do stuff like this. Can an asset change the perception, i.e. turn it off? Yeah, you can turn it off. So if we go back to the player character, not there. Yep. So by default, characters. Let me take all this stuff off. Characters by default are registered to the perception system. If you want to have control over that, you can add a component for it to override it. You have the stimuli source. And by default, it should register, auto register as source. And then you choose what source it's going to register for. We'll choose site. Like that. Okay, so it'll look like normal. But let's say I have my crouch back in here. But when I go to crouch, I'll unregister from the source here. So take this, unregister from sense or the whole system, either one. Like that. And if I wanted to, I can put it back on with register for with system. So if I wanted to now, this AI character will see me. But if I crouch, he can no longer see me because I'm unregistered from the system, even if I don't have any thing. So if you're doing like grass, for example, this is good for that. You can just unregister for us from just sight, but I still have hearing attached to it. It can be pretty good for that sort of thing. You're trying to show the one I'm using. I don't know. I don't want to turn it off. I know why this one. I don't want to know why this one passable or raise a position. You can't raise it. It's done by the eye line of the character, so you have to change the eye line. Oh, the buttons I'm pushing. So the menu in the top left, it will tell you 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You just turn those on to see that. To get to the AI menu, it's apostrophe key. Just look at an AI character, hit the apostrophe, and then use the number pad to toggle on what you want to look at. Okay, so here I'm looking at the perception. There's the perception system. You know, there's not much going on there. But behavior tree, I obviously don't have any of that. But yeah. You have nothing to do with the asset. No, you don't have to do anything else. It's just a built-in thing. It's part of the engine for debugging. You just hit the apostrophe key to see it, and then you turn it on with 4. You'll see what I mean. In the top left, there's like a little menu that you can toggle off and on. It works with number pad, not numbers at the top, number pad. Okay, so if you don't have one, you're kind of screwed. So make sure you've got that. Okay, vital for making AI stuff. Okay. Unfortunately, we have to go there today. Unfortunately, I wanted to stick around for longer and answer more questions, show you more stuff. But as I mentioned, feeling a bit queasy. So I'm going to go deal with that nonsense. Massive thank you to everyone's questions today. We'll be doing more stuff with Mimic soon, playtest-wise, and talking a bit more about it. It's also asking, have I ever considered using C++? Yes, it is a source build project. Currently, so far, it's all Blueprint. There's nothing needed to go into C++ just yet. Never know, might change, but yeah, that might be the case. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. If you're a Patreon member, make sure you join in our weekly challenges. This helps you get a bit better at Unreal, gives you a target to focus on. Got a short-term goal to work on. So hope you get better. Can jump into that and have a crack at that. Otherwise, thank you so much, everyone, for your time today. What else do you look forward to? Well, on Patreon, coming soon, are going to be the start and end of the series for board games. So making a board game, centered because we're doing that because it's the Steam's board games festival at the moment, or about to start the festival for board games. And I thought it'd be quite good to show you how to do board game stuff. But yes. Okay, guys. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye for now.